Hello and welcome to Fit of Us episode number 49. Mate, we are almost at the half century, can you believe it?
I don't know, mate, because we're actually arguing about what episode we're on, so we might be 49, could be. Who
We
knows?
definitely are, but I think the debate was who was introducing it this week, eh? So if it's been me 2 weeks in a row, then you've got Kyle to blame for
If we notice a drop off in the listeners, that's what's happened.
that. I'm surprised that you remember who's on odds and who's on evens. I fucking no idea.
I make it up every week and just say it with confidence.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What's been happening? How are you? How are you post High Rocks?
Yeah, mate, good. I actually forgot that we'd done it, which probably actually explains it was all right. It wasn't like Shannon and I took it at our easy enough pace, so Shannon actually survived, which was strange. But yeah, no,
Brilliant.
mate, good.
Oh, shit. Try to fix my camera again. What was your time?
Oh mate, like it was like an hour and a half, but we got two penalties. The first one is because we done that usual thing where we ran too many laps. So I noticed, I turned around and looked at Shannon, and she looked like she was going to blow out a lung coming into the second part of it. So I was like, well, we've already ran too many laps, so I'll take the penalty and just go a lap earlier on the second one, which gave us a 3 minute penalty. But then there was some other penalty we picked up along the way, which I don't know. So yeah, that's what it is. But
Just as well, it was only two, because if you got one more, Rangers would have been trying to sign these.
oh, that was quite good. I'll give you that.
I'm glad he's got it done, mate. And obviously, there was no need for the RIP Shannon last episode,
No,
which
but
is which is good.
she got an episode dedicated to her, so I'm sure she'll be buzzing regardless.
That's good, man. Would you consider doing it again next year, or is it are you moving on now? You want to go to bigger stuff?
To be fair, mate, it's a bit like anything. I've tested the waters with it. I've got what I know what it feels like. I know what the time it is. Like for me, it's a slippery slope. I'm like, if I start doing it, I'm definitely doing it for time. And if I'm doing it for time, I know I'm going all in it. And it's that way I'm looking at going, do I want to go all in High Rocks? And to be honest, I don't think I do. This will probably piss a lot of people off who are into High Rocks, but the standards do my head in. I literally walked in and we're looking at the balls and fucking some of the people like squatting like higher than Snoop Dogg. Just fucking you're meant to be like ass to grass. And there's videos going about of just people like fucking lobbing up there. It's not the judges. Well, I say it's not the judges' fault. The judges are volunteers who some of them probably have no experience in fitness. Full stop. They're just doing it for a hoodie.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you're just watching people, and I'm like, for a sport that people are going on about times and stuff, I'm like, well, what does your time fucking matter if you didn't do a single squat during your roll?
Right.
Like, and same with burpees, people just fucking crawling forward and stuff. Yeah, does my head in.
I've seen loads of videos like they had to bring in a new rule for the burpees that you do your one step forward, have both feet together, and then jump. But some of the videos that I've seen online, like people are literally taking a step forward and then another wee hop before they then do their actual jump. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think because it started like kicking off the last kind of 1 2 years, it's maybe getting a bit too much to um to handle at the minute for the organisers. Like if they can clamp down on it and make it a lot more regulated, then obviously it could be amazing. But I mean, if people are just there doing it for fun, does it really fucking matter?
Well, that's the thing, mate. I've done it for fun. Well, fun as per se fun. But like, if I was going into it, mate, I've got that problem where it's a twofold problem. I'm a stickler for rules, but I'm also quite competitive, and those two things don't mix with that environment. So, yeah, I don't know. If it was, is it for me? It's like, see, when you see those things happen, it's a bit like somebody saying that the bench press is like fucking 150 kilos, but then you watch it and there's like no bend in their elbow.
Mm.
It's like, oh, 150, mate, post it. Just need to work on form. And I'm like, well, it's not 150, mate. Like, you can actually probably bench press about 80 kilos, but yeah, sound you moved your hands a wee bit. Like, no.
Aye. Aye, it winds me up as well. I actually made a reel about that, didn't I, not too long ago, about people uploading their squat PBs and it's just a knee bend. But yeah, you get the same with benches. Or I am squatting 100 kilo and you're about 5 inches away from your chest. No, your elbow bending 100 kilo. You know, bench pressing 100 kilo.
Yeah, fucking right, mate. The one that does my head in is PTs that post videos of deadlifts, and it's like new PB, but need to work on form. And I'm like, don't fucking post a video, mate. Like,
Should be working on form before you go for PBs.
I say, Ali
Looks like
Barrett
a
was fucking camel, man. Like,
I
fucking,
was gonna say, client looks like a dog taking a shit.
Fucking disaster. Um,
Anyway, that's enough bitching.
you got your Christmas tree up?
Absolutely fucking not. It's
Mate,
not December yet.
I've had 4 clients that I've looked at and I'm like, they've got Christmas trees up. I've been sending them messages going, what's happening here? Like,
I
it's
get them sacked.
fucking yellow card.
Get them sacked. To be fair, we don't have a tree yet. The only tree that we have is a Lego tree. I don't know if you've seen it on my stories.
No, I've not, mate.
I bought a. Let me see if I've got it.
My friend who listening,
There we
Gary,
go for all the viewers at home. My first ever Christmas tree in the new house.
Pass. I'm
There
here.
you go. You can see it better. So because the house still needs decorating and we still need to buy furniture. We're still living out of boxes. There was no point in buying a tree just yet. But the plan is to get the house painted, or at least the living room and the bedroom painted in December, so we can then start building out the furniture and stuff like that. So yeah, no tree will be going up until we've got paint on the walls. Which I don't mind. Rachel's cracking up. She wants the tree up yesterday.
That's a Rachel issue, isn't it?
That's a Rachel issue, aye. We'll take it up. She can
I've,
take it up with somebody else. I'm not gonna fuck.
I've got a client who fucking posted a picture of him and the family in matching pajamas beside their Christmas tree about 2 weeks ago. And I was like,
Come on.
the clocks went forward, the months didn't. Fucking, well, actually, clock went back, but sure. That's what
Aye. The matching pajamas and stuff, I can get behind that because me and Rachel done it last year, but that's for Christmas Eve.
kind of feel like I've become everything that I used to slag, mate, because I've became that person who sits, dresses the dog up in like different clothes, sits in fucking coffee shops on my laptop. I'm like, I am that wanker. Like,
I love it, man. I love it. Right, speaking of Christmas time and stuff like that, how is the weather looking on your end?
uh, it's cold. It's sunny, but it's cold, freezing.
We got like -6 or something the other morning, so it's like proper frost.
Yeah, we had, I think it was -3, but because we were beside the coast as well, mate, the wind just cuts through you. It feels like a fucking -9.
Aye. Oh, the wind chill always makes it worse. But aye, it's been very, very icy, very slidey. Like I say, very frosty. The heating's been on full pelt all day. So it's not fun. We had a Met Office warning yesterday for snow, but the snow never arrived. I think it was too cold for it to snow. Do you know what I mean?
I woke up yesterday, mate, and I'd set the heating to come on at 6:30, and I woke up at 6:45, and I was like, that heating, snow came on, mate. Heating's on full fucking blast, mate. It was just freezing. Like,
No way.
didn't touch the sides, yeah.
Holy shit. I think you need a new heating system, mate.
Well, yeah, probably. I think we probably need to get rid of the single glazing windows for a start, mate. That might help.
That would definitely help 100%. Right, shall we start talking a wee bit about something health, fitness related? Or do you want to keep waffling about the weather and become the new Sean Batties?
Do you know what? Actually, just on the note of health and fitness, 100%. I was at a retreat, like a high performance retreat on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, one and two. One of the questions I got asked is like, do you train for short term goals or do you train for long term goals? And one of the things that kind of stuck with me, there was like, what version of, let's say Gary, what version of Gary will we see in November 2025? And I was like, I actually write it down. I was like, that's fucking, do you know what? It does get you thinking, like, what am I doing now that's going to make the version of me in 2025, November 2025, what are the things that I can do right now that are going to make me better? But anyway, so that was just a wee side note as to.
Mate, let's talk about it. Let's talk. That's class. That's a very good thing to talk about. And I think it's a very valuable lesson to learn as well. Like, what are we actually training for? Like, asking ourselves that question because when you mentioned that question, I got myself thinking, and I'm like, mine's has always been short term goals. You know what I mean? Like photo shoot, Spartan, half marathon. It's always been short term goals. Although, like more recently, I have started shifting towards longevity and trying to get my body strong, trying to get my bone structure, trying to get my joint health all nice and strong and solid, rather than just trying to look a certain way or trying to lift a certain weight. Do you know what I mean? I know I've gained a wee bit of weight, and I said last week that I'm in my powerlifting era at the minute. And whilst that stands true, like as I'm trying to get as strong as fuck, but that's not to go competing. That's so uh that's so I'm strong as fuck when I get old. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
What did you write?
I don't, mate. It just got me thinking because, like, I've got this notepad, and to be fair, I left this retreat, which you probably should with any good retreat. My mind was boggled, going, shit,
Mhm.
I've got a lot to think about there. Um, I've always been, I want to say medium term. It's not quite short term, it's not quite medium term. It's always
Ah,
something
it's medium.
that's medium term. Like a bit like yourself, mate. I've always had an underlying or overriding goal, but I'll always still, even if I don't have a goal, I'll still typically train between 2 and 3 times a week. I'll still get like minimum 10,000 steps done most days, and I'll still get like a decent amount of protein in each meal, regardless of what the goal is. But then I'll fire in some goals. Again, being in health and fitness, I feel the pressure, and that's one of the things I said. I feel the pressure to have to show up and do things.
Hmm.
With that said, I've now flipped the switch for the first time actually as of like Monday last week before even knew this conversation was happening. It is going into more of a strength and muscle building phase because for me, whilst I've been able to maintain a certain like physique per se for the last wee while, I'm like, it's very difficult to gain any strength, any muscle, whilst you're still looking after the amount of calories that you were, like, especially the training age I am. I'm like, I am realistically had to drip the band aid off and go for the next year and a half. I'm going to have to be comfortable with being probably not overly comfortable with my body
Hmm.
comps. I'm not going to look the best I have, but that's to start putting on some more muscle so that long term muscle is the thing. Sorry, slight tangent. The muscle is a thing that is correlated with long term health, as in, like,
Hmm.
the more muscle mass you have to a point, then ultimately the longer you typically live. So it is one of those things that you do want to build, if that makes sense. Sorry.
100%. Aye. Yeah, building muscle, doing some sort of strength training, has so many long-term benefits. Especially as we age as well. If you don't start training now to take care of your long-term health, I mean, it's never too late to start training. It just gets harder. It gets harder to lose body fat. It gets harder to build muscle mass. So you're better, getting started with it now. You're 100%, like, there's no question about it. You're going to lead a longer, healthier, more active lifestyle. You're going to be a lot more independent as well, which is another thing that not a lot of people seem to mention. Just doing simple daily activities, carrying your shopping, you know what I mean, walking around the park, playing with your grandkids, taking the dog a walk. All of these get a hell of a lot easier. Plus, like, um, it promotes like better endurance and energy levels as well as we age. And things like getting up off the toilet, getting up and down stairs and stuff like that as well. Like, nobody really talks about that enough, and that's something that, I shared a reel the other day. I don't know if you've seen it, Kyle, and it was like from the Canadian government, and it was comparing an old guy that had strength trained to an old guy that hadn't strength trained, and the old guy that strength trained was able to bend down and put his shoes on, and the old guy that hadn't strength trained had to put slippers on and get helped out of bed. So even just like for you to be able to maintain independence as you age as well, like, there's just so many fucking incredible benefits from it. It doesn't have to be, I need to go into the gym. If I lift weights, I'm going to get big and I'm going to get bulky. That's not the case whatsoever. And that's something, like, there's a whole stigma around that, and especially online as well. And I think that's something that us as coaches, we need to really break down the barriers of. Um, but I mean, 65, 70, who's going to listen to a 30-year-old going, oh, you need to do this to have a more independent lifestyle, especially if they're setting our ways.
Well, I was going to say that's a fucking them issue, really. Like, it's the same way that somebody in their teens isn't going to listen to us, the same way that somebody in,
Mhm.
like, the older generation aren't going to listen to us. But, like, I think for me, my 20s was feeling invincible and thought that we're going to be here for an infinite amount of time. Hence the reason
Mhm.
I could fucking drink 7 cans of, like, Monster or whatever it was, and, like, you know what, just accepting the fact that I may or may not die. I'll leave that to fate. I'm still here. Still pissing fucking luminous, but that doesn't matter. I think when it comes to where we are at the moment, like, I, since hitting 30, a couple of years back, having getting married, having a child, like, having the house, I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, all those things that I thought were like what old people do, I'm like, I'm fucking there. Like, I genuinely am now that version of old, and I actually genuinely feel old now. Like, I know that's probably a lot of people laughing, and like I'm sure there's points where I look back and I know I'm not old, but I'll look back and go, I'd fucking do anything to be 32 again. But with that said, like a lot of people think that they're here for an infinite amount of time. They've got an infinite amount of time to change things. Like realistically, the where you can put in the most, like where you're going to get the most from your body is probably between the ages of 30 and 45. Like that's
Hmm.
really the time frame that most of us have. That's what fucking your peak is going to be outside of like being in your 20s. But again, with mindset, like still your mind still being in a good place and your body still being in a good place, you've got about 15 years between 30 and 45. With that said, like you can absolutely extend that period of time. Like there's 60-year-olds who again probably feel fitter than what they did when they were 40 because they've looked after themselves or they've made lifestyle changes. But what you really want to do is build strength over time, and again work your heart and lungs to a point. Like, working your heart and lungs can be going up and down the stairs, but the thing is, the less you use things, the more your body's not going to need them anymore. So then you just again you're incapable of it. I've unfortunately watched quite a few people close enough to me like get to the point where they're unable to look after themselves.
Yeah.
It wasn't for their head, just the fact that the body wasn't in a position they could.
Body just shuts down. Referring to that as well, like obviously as we age, like we naturally lose muscle mass. So we need to do something to combat this natural muscle atrophy. And I mean, studies show that it can start as early as 30 years old, and then it's going to obviously accelerate in later decades, sorry. Now, you said they're obviously being in our prime between kind of 30 and 45, 100%. But again, that's, as early as the muscle atrophy stage can start as well. So we need to do something to get on top of that. We need to do something to slow it down. We need to do something to control it as well. And yeah, if we don't look after ourselves now, like we're going to pay for it later in life, and it's just as simple as that. And I know a lot of people might feel like that's a wee bit morbid, or they don't really want to hear it, but that's just the harsh reality of it. We need to put the work in now so we can continue to live a long, independent, self-sufficient lifestyle.
Well, it's a bit like anything. You can be ignorant to it, but it's not going to stop it happening. Like it's
Exactly,
fucking coming to us all. Like sorry, shit.
100%. I was doing a wee bit of research on this as well. Like, one of the leading causes of deaths in elder people is falls or fall-related deaths. And the study that I was looking at, it was actually done in the States in 2021. So in the year of 2021, in the States, there was 38,742 fall-related deaths. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that somebody falls and dies instantly. This is like deaths related to that initial fall. So let's say there's a Jeannie, she's 80-year-old, right? I don't know if there's many Jeannies in America, but you know what I mean. So Jeannie, she's 80-year-old. She has been pretty independent for 79 years of her life. She's walking, she's doing this, she's doing that, but she's not strength training, so her muscles have atrophied to a point where her bone density is quite weak, or she doesn't have a lot of muscle mass on her body at all. She has a wee slip on that slippery pavement outside, and she breaks a hip. Alrighty. She's going to take a lot longer to recover if she ever does fully recover from that broken hip. But that means she is now less mobile. She has to let it heal. She can't fend for herself anymore. She can't take herself to the toilet because she's got the broken hip. So her health deteriorates at an absolutely rapid rate. So from her, dying off the back of that broken hip, that is related to that initial fall that broke the hip in the first place. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah.
So yeah, like that's a scary fucking number. Like almost 39, 40,000. It's probably a wee bit more now. Obviously, the study was done 3 years ago, but just from something as simple as taking a bit of a stumble, nobody really considers the consequences of taking a bit of a fall as you age. It can be deadly. Like genuinely.
Yeah, I was my again feeling that older part. Like my parents both are now in their 60s. Probably not thank me for saying that out loud. But, just gotta say, my mum still thinks she's like 39, which is weird considering like she's had a child when she was 7 years old. Fucking there you go. But I was going to say 60, like over 60 years old. Oh, 60. But with that said, I'm like, you're actually getting to the point where like I'm like 5 years away from retirement. Like my dad's genuinely talking about retirement in 5 years' time, which is you are getting to the point where whilst he still looks at my dad and whatever, it's not going to be long before you're kind of going, well, the signs of aging are going to start coming in where it's like my dad's active enough, goes his hill walks and all that, but like it's probably not going to be long before you start to go, oh, there's a sore knee, there's a sore hip, there's a sore back, I can no longer do this or do that or whatever. And it's like, you're the longer, like, again, it's coming to us all, but like the more that you can do right now, then the longer that prolongs that. Like my fucking feel like I'm going through my family tree here, but my granda had arthritis and like he kept on claiming he was in borrowed time, but he was really active, worked in the butchers, lots of strength type stuff, having to do that. I mean, he got to 82, I think it was,
Wow.
before he passed on. Now, with that, like he was still doing the things that he wanted to do pretty much right up until the last 2 years of his life. So pretty much until he hit 80, he was still able to go to the shops, do his things, get himself up and down the stairs. Like he was the type of person that, like when he did get a hip replacement because he slipped on holiday and fell, he was like, I'm not sleeping like fucking downstairs. Or like I'm sleeping upstairs and force myself to go up and down them stairs so that I can do it like consistently. But I think with that, the more you choose to do things, the longer and more prosperous a life that you have. And I think for me, like having, again, Finn at this point, I'm like, do you know what? In 30 years' time, at his 30th, I'm going to be 62. And I'm like, I'll be essentially the same age as my dad. And I kind of don't want to get to the point where I'm like, I can't, don't know, go to the football and watch things with him. Or like, fuck, I'd still like the idea at 62 years old. There's a guy I play with on a Saturday 84 years old, plays five-a-side. I mean, you get turned by him. Like, maybe it's just me that gets turned by him, but you get turned by him. He's been playing five-a-side 3 times a week, probably for the last 64 years. Like, he's just... But the thing is, I'd love... Albeit I don't want to be that da who's, like, playing with him and his mates, but, like, see if he did want to say, do you want to go and have a kick about? I'd be like, fucking, let's go and launch a game of longies. Like...
Aye. I used to play football with my dad as well, but granted, he was a lot younger when he had me. I think he was only 20, 21 when I was born. So, yeah, I was lucky enough to be able to play in the same team as my dad, actually. The two of us were battling for the same position, believe it or not. But yeah, I was able to play five-a-sides with him, stuff like that as well. And I think, yeah, I've got that very same mindset to you as well. Obviously, my wee one's not here yet, but I think it's been playing on my mind about how I want to structure my training and how I want to, live my lifestyle now. I now have a massive responsibility. Not at the minute, but it's happening. So I want to be, the fittest, the healthiest, strongest person that I can physically be. So when I'm 50, when I'm 60, when the wee one's, 21, 30, whatever, I am able to do stuff with them. I'm able to go out. I can take them up the hills. We can go fucking hiking. We can, go mad shit, do surfing, just some mad random shit. You know what I mean? That I maybe never ever got to try with my mum and dad. So yeah, for me, training has become a big part of my life over the last kind of 10 or so years, and long may it continue. I know the benefits it has. I also know if you train like an idiot, it can be shite. You can be injured a lot of the time. So I think in my 20s, you'll probably be the same as well. I think maybe your focus has shifted in the last few years as well. But in my 20s, it was all about trying to look aesthetic, trying to get big muscles, big chest, big arms. Whereas now, I'm not comfortable with the weight that I've gained over the last year since my photo shoot, but I move a lot better. I have a lot more energy. I feel less pain. I honestly don't know the last time, touch wood, don't know the last time I had knee pain when I squatted. And it's just because I'm not being a fucking dick about my training. You know what I mean? And like I say, this is what's going to give me longevity. This is what's going to give me long-term health benefits, and hopefully maintain my independence so the wean doesn't need to wipe my ass when I get to 75.
Nobody's wiping my ass. Not even me. What was I going to say? Do I go into some specifics then? So if I was to ask you the question, let's say let's fuck Gary in November 2025, but let's say Gary in November 2034, so 10 years from now.
Okay.
What does Gary do now to get in a better position for then? If you were to go through some of the things you would do on a daily, weekly, monthly, what does Gary do to be in the best position possible?
To be in the best position possible, stop eating in a fucking calorie deficit for a start.
Okay, so got a question you on that. Do you think there's times where a calorie deficit would be appropriate?
Absolutely 100%.
Just based on the fact that there will be people listening to this, what?
Aye.
Yeah.
What I was meaning by that, I'll expand on it. So people are going through, are trying to go through 52 weeks of the year eating in a calorie deficit. People are always in the dieting mentality. Whilst calorie deficits are great for losing body fat and, leaning out and getting in shape for your holiday, it's not something that you want to keep up throughout the year. It has its place. And I will 100% go back into a calorie deficit. I'm going to do a mini cut at the start of next year once I build up a wee bit of strength. But I now know in myself that I don't want to be dieting for 12, 16, 20 weeks. You know what I mean? I'm going to do a small 6 to 8 week mini cut and then go back to either maintenance or into a small, tiny surplus. So I would stop worrying about a calorie deficit. I would also be as consistent as I possibly could in terms of lifting weights.
Yep.
And I would also structure my training or ask a coach to help me structure my training so I'm not putting my body under unnecessary stress. For me, high impact stuff does affect my knees, the likes of running, any sort of explosive work. It does really affect my knees and my hips, hypermobile, shite, weak joints, something that I'm working on. So I would definitely try and avoid that, but also doing a lot more of the shit that I want to do rather than me, because I've went through it. Like we spoke about this kind of off camera before and stuff like that. Like I spent 26, 27 years of my life being a people pleaser and trying to please everyone else. I was craving acceptance. I was almost like a chameleon, trying to blend in or trying to act a certain way because I thought other people wanted me to act that way. And that really sent me in a downward spiral. I started hiding behind, sorry if you're listening, Mum. I started hiding behind alcohol and drugs just to kind of forget everything and try and, what do you call it? Almost like put a screen up in front of me. So I would, not I would, I am going to do for the next 10 years a lot more shit that I want to do. Obviously if it's doable. I don't want to leave Rachel and the wee one just fucking chilling for 2 weeks in the house whilst I go on a wee 2 week holiday. But a lot more shit that I want to do, that's going to help me be the best version of myself. And just eat healthier, more nutritious food most of the time. I will, I will always have pizza on a weekly basis. But if I'm having healthier, more nutritious food most of the time, I'm still leading a healthy lifestyle. And I want to pass that healthy lifestyle and that balanced lifestyle onto the wee one as well. Like I don't want them growing up thinking that they're not allowed to have, maybe not going to feed them Haribo at 9 o'clock at night, that sort of shit, right? But I don't want them growing up thinking that they're not allowed to have certain foods. I also don't want them to grow up with the same kind of relationship with food that I had grown up. That anytime I done something good, anytime I done something bad, I was always getting rewarded or I was always getting given sweets to shut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to go a completely different tangent there just when you were talking about
Do
pain.
it.
No, I don't. It's leading it astray. I'm going to very quickly touch on it, but I was just more. The thought process was it's hard to know. Like having Finn there, I was like, I don't really want him having the same life I had because there's a lot
Mhm.
of things I'm like, oh fuck, I don't want somebody I love going through that. But then I'm also like, you know what? A lot of that actually makes me who I am today, in the sense that like
Mhm.
you can't go through life without having like pain causes change, and it causes you to think for yourself, and it causes you to be a stronger person. And realistically, if there's no resistance, there'll be no resilience. So a lot of that, I'm like, It was just that thought process of going, you do want to protect somebody from absolutely everything, but then on what you've went through, but on the other hand, it's like there will be elements of like somebody said it, it's like you can't, when it comes to a child, you're either spoiling them with love or you're not giving them like enough. There's no balance there. You're always doing one of the two things, which ultimately is causing effects to them as a person. So it wasn't 100% on what you say. I think like you know the traumas that what you went through, and there's certainly ones that you want to avoid. I was just kind of more the thought process of going, fuck, actually, how do you, like, from a perspective, I'm always about leading by example, and I'm like, I kind of want to be like, I'm not even going to follow down this because I want to stick to the point, and this will be an hour and a half long podcast. So I do want to go into the point of what people do or what we do right now to create a better future for ourselves. And I think when it comes to, like, for me, it's about getting yourself to a position where you're comfortable in terms of, like, if you are, don't say grossly overweight, but if you are carrying a significant amount of tonnage more than what you should, the healthiest thing that you can do right now, because you're putting stress on your heart, you're putting stress on, like, from an anxiety point of view, you are going to be in a position where your body's using extra fuel on, like, literally just carrying extra weight. So if you are, I'd say 15 kilos overweight right now, probably the best thing that you can do right now is lose body fat. But the good thing is, to lose body fat, that doesn't necessarily mean it comes at the detriment of strength. Like, for most people who are carrying an excessive amount of body fat, you can actually do both at the same time. But I would very much be keen on trying to get your body weight down to a point where, like, BMI, actually, for a lot of people, the BMI metric, it's actually, like, it gets a hard time because there are outliers to that. If you're a rugby player, if you're well trained or anything like that, like, I'm obese. When I was in folk shoot condition, abs ripped out of me. Like, I was obese compared to the BMI chart because I've got probably about 10 kilos more of muscle mass than the average human being. But with that said, like, there are, for the majority of people, it is fairly accurate if you're not trained. So if you're grossly obese on a BMI chart, it's probably best to start moving that down a little bit so that you're in a better position. But after you've done that, and that, the biggest thing here is that shouldn't take overly fucking long. Like, realistically, you're talking somewhere between 3 and maximum 6 months. Like, I would say you can do it in 3 if you were fairly on point with it, like if you had a good structure. 6 months if you're fucking about with it a little bit, but, like, realistically, get yourself into that condition. Once you're there, like, and comfortable condition, I would then start very much, as you said, change the emphasis to building muscle and, like, ultimately getting somewhere between 2 and 4 sessions in per week in terms of resistance training, being progressive with it, making sure that it's actually Chris that we had on the podcast. I seen something he put up yesterday, the day before, maybe. I wasn't sure if it was Chris or fucking Eminem with the haircut that's going on at the moment, but I was going to say he put up something the other day about foods in terms of, like, we got caught up in this, you can eat anything you want and still get in shape, which I can understand where that's come from. It's come from the point where we went from being so restrictive to food, we went the opposite way. It's like, oh, you can have anything, and people are trying to find cheat codes. And sometimes I look through people's diaries and go, whilst that's good from a fat loss perspective, you're eating like a fucking child. Like, there's just everything says protein this, protein fucking pot noodles. I'm like, fucking hell, there's nothing good about a protein pot noodle, don't care what anybody says. But I think actually having, let's bring it back to basics, highly nutritious foods for 80% of your nutrition, 20% party time. I would stick with that rule no matter what your calories are, no matter what you're doing. Fuel yourself for that. 3 to 5 decent meals with protein heavy per day. Get a decent amount of steps. For most people, that's minimum 6,000. Between 6 and 10 is a good amount for most people. If you're already getting that through your job or whatever, then keep going. But I'd say do that. Training 2 to 4 times a week, be progressive with your training. And if you rinse that for the next 5 years, your life will be, I mean, the next 5 years can be the investment for the next 50 years of your life, providing you're going to last that long.
100%. I think, in fact, no, I don't think I know what most people's problems are at the minute is they try to do too much too soon. They'll look at all the metrics that they have to track, that they have to do, protein, calories, steps, 2 to 4 times a week in the gym. They'll aim for the higher end of that. So they'll try and get the 10K steps, but they work a desk job. They'll try and get 4 training sessions in, but they're a single mum of 2. And if they're not hitting, those 4 sessions a week or 10K steps a day, then they feel like, well, what's the point? Because, they don't. We see it enough, like, online. You don't have to. It doesn't take much to change your body. It doesn't take much to change your mentality. It doesn't take much to change your mindset. But with everything that you see online, especially with all these fucking influencers. Oh, I train 7 days a week. I train twice a day. I eat. This is what I eat, and nobody gives a fuck what you eat in a day. But general population looking at social media, they think that that's what they need to do to get in shape when it's so fucking far from the truth. And that is the message that we are trying to send. You don't have to do much. You just need to change wee bits of your life to make it as easy and as sustainable as possible. Um, when you're changing your lifestyle, right? When you're doing something to improve your health and improve your fitness, ask yourself, is this something that I could do for the rest of my life? If the answer's no, then you're not doing the fucking right thing. What do you say to
What do you say to that? Fucking game of top trumps, raise me.
that?
Um, yeah, I don't disagree. What I would say within that is like I've said it myself and would stand by it. Like there are going to be periods because people can misconstrue what's been said, so I'll clarify that a wee bit.
Yes.
I think what we're both trying to say is there should be phases of anything, like as in like we've talked about, like there are phases where you probably should be in a calorie deficit. Nothing should be
Mhm.
linear, but throughout the period of the next couple of years, the most and biggest bang for your buck will be getting stronger, eating nutritious foods. So with that, like there will be periods whenever you're doing this is my issue with a lot of things. People rely on motivation a lot of time. So I think what could be interpreted as us saying like you need to do something you can see yourself doing forever. A lot of people get fucking 4 weeks in and go, oh, I can't be arsed going on a Friday night. I can't see me doing this forever. I'm just going to pack it in.
Mhm.
That's not the case in the sense that, like, me and you, there'll be times where we go, fucking, I was like, sure, done enough check ins for you and sent enough myself where, like, can't be fucked training. And it's
Yeah.
like, sometimes it's better to act your way to a better feeling than feel your way to a better action. A lot of time, like, you are going to have to force yourself. There's a lot of demands on us right now that we never had. Like, years ago, it's only the last fucking 100 years we've got both people in a relationship working and prices of everything going fucking haywire and people can't afford to heat themselves for the majority of the time. It's understandable why motivation and self-efficacy is at a low, but withstanding all that, like you are going to go through periods where you can't be arsed doing things and that's okay, but I would have a minimum and a maximum. Like, yeah, you might not want to train or you might not see yourself training 4 times a week, like for the rest of your life. That's okay. You can go through periods of knowing that that's your max 4 times a week. There's also going, what's your minimum then? Like, what's your, like, could there be something to say that you can at least do twice a week? Is it a case where, like, we at least get some form of 20 minutes of walk per day, like,
Mhm.
for the rest of your life? Do you see yourself doing that? Like, I think infinitely asking questions like that, whilst it is true, it can be hard to think about and go, fuck, do I see myself? Some you ask me right now, like I love what I do, but I'm like, you see myself doing this at 60 years old? I'm like, fuck, don't know. Me and you on the podcast, me 60 years old.
Oh, amazing. Episode 5020.
Mate, I lost 2 teeth on Saturday night. Like, if I lose teeth at the rate I'm losing teeth, I'm going to have no teeth left by the time I'm 34.
How do you mean you lost two teeth?
Mate, I was literally eating a Chinese fucking, like, I was like, I didn't even feel it. I just, like, felt this chewy thing. I was like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, where did that even come from? And then there's a, like, that's in there. Yeah, gone. And then I was like, it doesn't, I mean, you can't see it in my face and it's not affecting my chew. I probably cost about 7 grand to get an implant in there. I'm good. But, like, mate,
What the fuck, man?
next morning I woke up, one up there, gone.
No
I was like,
way.
what if I've not lost a tooth in about fucking 10 years? Lost two in the one night. Chinese, absolutely. Don't eat a Chinese.
What in the fuck was in the Chinese?
Mate,
Acid?
fucking don't know. That beef satay was fucking spicy.
Man, that is fucking wild. But yes, just touching on one of the points that you expanded on there. There will be periods of the year, periods of the rest of your life where you are going to challenge yourself and it is going to get a wee bit hectic. Like, for example, if you want to trim up a wee bit or get a bit leaner for your wedding, for example, then you go into maybe an 8 or a 12 week intense, deficit dieting phase. But as long as you know in yourself that that 8 to 12 weeks it is only for a brief time, it isn't. It's not sustainable. Like that. The diet and the training that I'd done for the photo shoot, I knew it wasn't sustainable. But because I had that end goal, because I had something to aim for, I had my moments, and I had my moments where I felt like giving up, but I got through it. And then after that, I'm like, yeah, that's not something that I can see myself doing for the rest of my life. Eating and calorie maintenance, training roughly 2 to 4 times a week, getting mostly 10,000 steps in a, excuse me, 10,000 steps in a day. That is what, oh my God.
Well, you're not making it to
Sorry.
60 at this rate.
Oh my God, something just caught in the back of my throat. That is what's going to get me through these next however many years of my life that I've got left, because I know it's sustainable. I know it makes me feel good. I know it makes my body feel good. I know it makes my mind feel good as well. So, yeah, please don't feel like you have to. A lot of people when they do structure or when they do speak to like one of us as coaches, like asking the question, what what's the minimum you can do is very important, because a lot of people, they'll say, I want to train 4 times a week. I want to go to the gym 4 times a week. No, no, no. How many days can you absolutely guarantee that you can make it to the gym? Twice. Right, we're going to start at twice and then we can build up from there. Show me and show yourself more than anything that you can make it 4 times a week before you aim. Before we set you up a 4 day program and you can't make it 4 days a week, because you're going to just fucking give up. Or you're
I,
more than likely to give up.
I'd agree. Do you know what's funny? Like, when I had 4 mandatory sessions, mate, that fucking stressed me out because I was like,
Hmm.
I felt awful with not getting that fourth session in. See, when I flipped the switch to you've got 3 sessions, and if you can, there's an optional fourth there, I'm like, not only did I find myself hitting that fourth a bit more
Hmm.
often, I was like, I felt like I was doing extra. I was like, fuck, I'm A plus student this week.
Hmm.
Whereas sometimes, you know what, it's weird though. It's like when you do the 4th session, it's mandatory. You're like, should I be doing more? Should I be doing even more than the 4 sessions? Of course, I shouldn't. I'd make the argument like, fuck, I train everybody from office workers to athletes, and like, there's nobody who's training more than 4 times a week. And I would
Hmm.
argue that anybody who's training more than 4 times a week, like, you're wasting time. Like, literally, if you look at the numbers, whilst it might feel good in terms of doing 5 or 6 times a week, extrapolate it. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers over the 4, 6, 8 week period. Guarantee the numbers aren't as progressive as 4 days a week,
Hmm.
unless you are genetic freak or are taking performance enhancing drugs. And again, that's a different conversation to have completely. But like the majority, I'd say the large majority, 90, going to make up a percentage because all percentages are made up. 93.5% of people shouldn't train more than 4 times a week
Yeah,
intensely. There you go. There you're
fucking
done.
tell them.
Eat
Tell them.
that. There's your
Tell
calorie
them.
deficit. High protein.
Right, another thing that we didn't really, did you say there's a calorie deficit?
Yeah, yeah.
No, another thing that we didn't really talk about as well, like, a massive benefit of strength training, again, especially as we age as well. The advantages and qualities and fuck, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, the advantages that it has on the brain, it's actually been linked to improved cognitive function, which basically means that you're going to remember more as well as you age. Obviously, with people that maybe come down with like dementia and stuff like that, Alzheimer's, it's a different story. But I mean, you've probably came across kind of an older person in your day, and they just don't seem to be with it. Maybe they forget your name, maybe they call you a different name. But if you can, start strength training now, again, not only are you going to feel it physically, but you're also going to feel the benefits of it mentally. Again, maintaining that independence throughout your whole entire life.
Yeah, I'd agree. There's a lot of unseen fucking benefits to having
Hmm.
like strength training. It gives you a purpose as well, but
Yeah.
and also as you get older, I train a lot of older people. But community is a big part of it. Like you
Hmm.
literally go and there's a community aspect. People, there's a thing that it's shopping. Well, supermarkets and gyms are the two places to be like sociable and also to pick up a date if you're looking for one. Um, Not that I've ever met somebody in fucking Tesco and went, oh, she's the one. Well, I suppose with Jen, that's shouldn't be looking for anybody in Tesco. But what was I going to say? IO9. Anyway, with that,
Fucking hell, eh?
I know, don't know where I'm going with this. But yeah, no, I think from like if you were to look at females in particular as well, like perimenopause, menopause, like it's large majority are going to go through it. Like your strength training is one of the best things you can do for that as well. Helps regulate hormones, again, bone health. With changes in estrogen, like you're going to feel again more pain, bones, brittleness. Strength training is one of the massive, like one of the one of the things that can help circumnavigate that. There's a fucking word for you, circumnavigate. Have that like that in your boat pipe and smoke.
That's a fucking smashing word. Where'd you get that for IO 10 in Tesco?
I should have been in IO 9. I went to IO 10 and found that. Was there a follow up point to that? Probably fucking not, Gary. I'll let you take it from there, mate. I'll just drop that and leave.
Mate, I forgot what big fancy word you just said.
Circumnavigate, mate. Don't ask me.
Circumnavigate. Fucking what chance have we got, man? No wonder people don't want to listen to us.
Thanks for listening to podcasts. Where can you find you,
Gary? No, another kind of unseen benefit to strength training as well is just how much it can help lower the risk of injuries and like chronic diseases as well. Heart attacks, strokes, heart failure, coronary heart disease, and even things like osteoporosis as well, which is quite common in older adults, and especially women that are postmenopausal as well, obviously due to the hormonal changes. So yeah, osteoporosis is quite common, and that can strength training, obviously increasing your bone density and joint health can help benefit that massively. But yeah, like the likes of chronic diseases and stuff as well, that's something that not really many people consider strength training helping with. A lot of people think strength training is just muscles, muscles getting stronger. But yeah, like just like the likes of reducing the risk of heart attack in itself should be reason enough to want to do some form of resistance or strength work. And it can also help in the management of blood sugar levels as well, reducing the risk of diabetes. Obviously, you need to get your health under your weight under wraps with that as well. But aye, strength training just has insanely incredible benefits all round. We're massive advocates of strength training here. What?
We're massive. Just leave it there.
We're massive, and then that's it. Podcast ends. Massive advocates of strength training, and it's something that we speak about almost on a weekly basis. And we can't get the point across to you guys enough of how much you should be doing some form of strength training. Start fucking now. Now.
I'm going to throw in a controversial point, because if we just said what we just said, and I think it's important we did say what we just said, but if you told me this 5 years ago, I'd have went, so fucking what, mate? Like, genuinely would have been like, that's great and all that, but so fucking what? Like, I'm more interested right now how I'm feeling, how I'm looking, and I'm not in the place I want to be right now, so I don't give a fuck where I'm going to be in 15 years' time. That'll take care of itself. Probably would have the mentality that'll take care of itself down the line. So, there probably is quite a lot of people listening to that going, yes, lads, that's all great, but like dementia and all that pish won't happen to me. Lot of shite, whatever. That's fair enough. That's your prerogative. But I think
just quickly on that, remember your point. I like the fact that you think a lot of people listen to the podcast.
Well, sure, my ma and whoever else listening,
who's already on a way to dementia. Sorry, guys, ma.
If Shannon died last week, it would have been 50% of our listeners gone. But I was going to say, yeah, like with what the fuck was I talking about?
People thinking I'll take care of itself.
It's not attractive to think about that. So the things that can make it slightly easier at the moment is it doesn't need to be all long term. There is a kind of middle ground here. It's not short term and it's not long term. Like short term, like realistically, you are going to look better in your clothes. Like doing strength training will make you look better in your clothes. There is an element of like, it's like it gives you momentum when you start seeing yourself getting stronger. It's like it gives you that thing that each day in life that you're like, fuck, if I lifted a weight that I never was able to lift before, you're like, fuck, if I've conquered that and I found a pathway to do something I never thought was possible, what else can I do that system with? There's things in life where you're like, that doesn't look possible. Like, rightly or wrongly, I said this on the retreat, I'm like, I genuinely have enough confidence in myself where, like, you asked about Hyrox, I'm like, in my head, whether I'm right or wrong about this, I don't know, but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I can see a path as to how I could be like top tier at Hyrox. Like in my head, there's nothing stopping me going, if I dedicated the next year to Hyrox, I'm genuinely back myself to be one of the top in like, what I say the world, I don't know, like just what to say
Is it top 15? Is that what they call it?
Fuck knows, whatever. It's a cult, don't know. But like realistically, I've applied that anything I've ever applied myself to. I'm like, I know the system and framework to it, and I'm like, cool. I find it. You find the goal and you backtrack your way to get there, and you be progressive with it. And I like when it comes to strength training, like sure, powerlifting. Like I won competitions. I was on the cusp of representing fucking Northern Ireland at the Commonwealth Games. Like there's a lot of things that I'm like, there's the systems that you learn from resistance training can be implemented to just about anything in life, in my opinion. I think once you start to unlock that little thing, it makes you more confident in every aspect of your life. Again, rightly or wrongly, but at the same time, you've found something you weren't able to do and prove to yourself that you can do it. There's a lot to be said in that.
Amazing. Right in the feels. So yeah, to summarise, basically what you said is set yourself a SMedium goal.
SMedium is the word. That's the name of the podcast. SMedium.
This is a SMedium episode. No, that was classmate, and you're absolutely right. Like looking back at us, mid-20s, listening to two dobbers at 30, 32, 33-year-old telling us you need to start investing in your long-term health. Well, we'd have been, and I'll openly admit it. I'd have been like, oh, no worries, mate. I'll worry about that in 10 years.
Yeah, well, it's 10 years now.
10 years, so that now I'm fucking worried.
Yeah,
I'm worried.
That's it. That's the thing. It's always there's a cost at the start or a cost at the end. You're going to have to pay at some point, and it's like anything that has a massive, like, you get the reward at the start. So, for instance, let's take booze. You feel fucking great for it the moment you start drinking. You pay for it at the end. Like, the next day, you're fucking dying because there is a cost. You can't escape that. There's nothing. There's literally no other way. But then let's take the other opposite end of the spectrum, running. Like, running, you're paying the cost of it to start off. It feels fucking horrible, like, for most people to get running. But you know what? You get the reward at the end. So you've done the hard thing first. You get the reward at the end. That, again, that system works for anything. Like you work a 40-hour week for the course of a month, you get paid at the end of it, you do the hard work to start off with. It's the same with strength training. There's no secret to it. Like, you do the hard work now, you get the reward at the end. But see, if you don't do the hard work right now, that's fine. You're getting the reward of doing fuck all at the moment, but you are going to pay for it towards the end.
100%. What a way to look at it. I think, yeah, if you get anything else that you want to add to that, I think that's a very good point to finish the episode on.
So I said, well, I did or well, I didn't, mate. I need the toilet, so we're going to have to end it.
Fantastic. Yes, like that fucking brain fart there. I meant to say, as always, thank you all very much for listening. Hopefully, there was a lot of value in that episode that you could take home. I really enjoyed that chat, if I'm being honest, Kyle.
I enjoyed that too, mate. Yeah.
I'm just going to keep talking and leave you sitting there for as long as possible so you end up pissing yourself on camera.
You can find Gary on Instagram at Gary
at GMAC_health and fitness.
I should probably know that. I don't even know my own. GMAC health and fitness. You can't find me there, but you can find me at Kyle_biofitness1 on Instagram.
Excellent. Thank you to Dave and Toby for the tunes. See you all next week. Bye.
Toby, thank you. See you later. Bye.